welcome everybody for coming back to another episode of the Reliably Intermittent Podcast. It is Friday the 13th. Thank you for joining us. My name is Andrew Esposito, or Drew Esposito, and with me today, as always,
Amanda Reese.
All right, and today we're going to be talking about either pranks or just the luck of the draw, just kind of unluckiness of employers or employees together. Pretty lighthearted stuff. So the assignment that I did not complete, well, I guess I accidentally completed it today by having a phone call with a client, was to look up and research some stuff that had happened unluckily. And I was being lazy and didn't do it. But I'll tell you what I found since it's brand new. But for you go first. So what did you find for unlucky employers, unlucky employees, or anything like that?
All right. So do you know how nowadays all the employers are sending out like phishing things to their employees just to see if anyone's going to get caught by some phishing scam, because we're all scared of getting caught by phishing scams.
Yeah. The Prince of Uganda has $20 million for me. All I have to do is Venmo him $5,000 for his legal fees and he'll give me $10 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we all get these silly emails. We know not to click on them though. The problem is what happens when you're an employee and you think it's coming from your employer. So you get an email saying,
wait, think it's coming from, or did it actually come from the employer?
Let's say actually came from, actually came from the employer. You don't think your employer is going to send any phishing emails, do you? So you work at a desk, you get an email that says, oh, congratulations, everyone's getting bonuses. Let's say $1,000. Everyone's getting $1,000 bonus. You just have to click here.
Make it rain.
You just have to click here to get your bonus. So the employees then click on the link.
Okay.
Never seem to have gotten a check or anything. They later get an email from their employer saying, oh, sorry, there is no bonus. However, because you clicked on this unknown link that came to you, you will be doing some training as to how to not click on strange links and things like that. Basically like a cyber training kind of thing, because it was unsafe.
So let me get this. So I get in it. President of our company sends us an email. COVID's happening. We can't do our Christmas party and things like that. But I want to keep morale up. I'm giving everybody $1,000 bonus. We're all like, sweet, great. 48 hours later, it's a big gotcha.
Yes.
And then you have to go to like a mandatory training.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. No bonus.
Awesome.
And you have to do silly computer training.
Amazing. So it's essentially a prank.
Yes.
I guess the employer probably doesn't see it that way. They're testing the weaknesses of their agency.
Yes. Yeah. And their employee.
So this is legit. Like this. Do we know which employer did this?
Yeah, we do.
Who did it?
It was GoDaddy, according to the internet.
Unreal. So, all right. I mean, so like I see like a couple huge issues. One, just like a morale killer.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And like, was it $1,000 or was it more or was it less?
I think it was a little less. I think it was like 600, 650, something like that.
At least like talking, like for Ohio, like for our cost of living, generally speaking in Ohio, for like a large portion of the population, probably like 70%, 80%, like that's a significant bonus.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like if you're making $35,000, $40,000 a year, you know, my math isn't too good, but that's probably like a 2%, 3% bonus.
Right.
And you're just not. Oof. That's brutal.
Yeah.
Do we know it? Did anybody quit? Do we know?
I have no idea. I bet somebody would have, don't you think?
I think the lowest concern for an employer would be someone quitting. The biggest concern would be somebody losing their mind.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, especially if you're a large employer,
yep,
you have thousands of employees and I think the pandemic has highlighted mental health more than any other time. And mental health has been highlighted in the Olympics too, with everything going on. Like little things like that are so unnecessary, right? Like it's a self-inflicted wound. Like, and you could do it the other way. Like you can test the phishing, but instead of holding this pretend carrot, reward the people who don't, right? Like, so it's not like a promise. Like, here's a phishing email, not anything. It's just a classic phishing email. You know, click this for that. And if you didn't do it, right, or if you reported it to like IT, right, then the president can be like, hey, I'm really proud of those of you who were diligent about being aware of scams, and for that you're going to get a holiday gift card, you know. And financially the employer could establish the bonus after the fact, because if like you have 100% success rate, they probably can't afford to give it to everybody. Right. But if you only had 5, you may be able to give, hey, we are really happy, and then all these other people that failed, they didn't really get penalties, but they see like, oh, we're gonna have a little test and we could get rewards, and this, you know, things like that.
Yeah, that's a lot though. If some people get the bonus and others don't, just for clicking a link.
Then I think they do the training and you successfully complete it, and you give them, and maybe you give them a bonus, and it's not as much, right? I don't think, I'm not a fan of treating everybody equally, right?
You probably don't want
treating everybody fairly is one thing, but like if I'm the person who did it right the first time, why am I getting the same bonus as the person who failed the test?
I see your point, but if someone has corrected their actions and now they know not to click on links,
do they get the same bonus though?
Yes, but it comes a little later because they did their training.
You're too soft. You're too soft, because then I'm going to click every link and then I can just go some training and get, no, I get what you're saying, because then people get bitter, and either you run into the same morale problem, right? You still have, and you got haves and have nots. You're going to get some jerk.
Oh yeah.
Some jerk who's like, hey Jim, look at this new flat screen TV I bought with this bone, you know, like they're going to rub it in.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to,
yep, it'll definitely happen.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Who in their right mind thinks that that's a good idea? Oh well, it happens. Lesson to employers: I cannot imagine a situation where there's ever really a good prank on your employees. Right. It's like maybe in like the comedy world, like, or when people like are like roasting people, like you don't ever want to punch down. Right. Like, because then you come off as being mean. Right. Like it's okay to, like, if you're roasting each other in your equivalents, but if like someone's your subordinate or someone's your boss, like there's a difference between a practical joke and being a bully.
Absolutely.
Right. And if you're punching down, you're usually a bully. It's not, because they can't give it back up. Your employees can't pull a practical joke on their employer. The employer is going to be ticked off.
Oh yeah. No matter what.
And they're going to be jeopardizing their job. So I think a lesson from GoDaddy is, right, not the best idea. Also, pranking employees as a employer overall, terrible idea.
Absolutely, it is.
Unbelievable. All right, so I got a good one for you. So this happened. This happened this morning. This is not so much not so much a prank, but just a unlucky employer.
On Friday the 13th, this really happened.
This happened today, or the call happened today. So the incident happened over the weekend. So I got a call this morning, and a supervisor is resigning because he doesn't feel safe and things like that. So what happened over the weekend was the supervisor left his keys out on his desk in an unlocked office in a secure facility, a facility that's supposed to be secure. And 2 teenage boys who are involuntary residents of the facility stole the keys. Oh my goodness. Right? Absconded from the agency, stole the vehicle. Stole the supervisor's vehicle and totaled the car.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's a first. I've had like escapes and things like that before, and have had vehicles get stolen like as part of the escape, but never an employee's vehicle.
Oh, so it was employees' personal
It was their
vehicle.
personal vehicle.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And we have rules about keeping your stuff locked up and things like that to not have access to it for people that are already facing criminal behavior to begin with. And
Oh
we
my
just got
goodness.
noticed that the employee's insurance company, I want to say, the employee notified or told the supervisors while he was quitting that his insurance company and him are going to sue the employer for the totaling of the vehicle. I guess probably under the theory that it's like one of the residents, but he violated all of our policies by not securing
Oh
all the stuff.
yeah.
So that's not here, who knows how that's going to shake out, but I was just like, I can't believe I'm getting this call, so like first unlucky, I guess I don't want to say unlucky employee, right? I think they have control over this, but first as an employer, you lose a supervisor.
Mhm.
All my clients are having turnover issue.
Yes.
And you're getting noticed that you're probably going to get sued. You're probably not happy about the suit and it's garbage. You got 2 kids who were just in this accident. I don't know. I, they're, I don't think they were injured,
Okay.
but either
that's good.
way,
Mhm.
you got to talk to the court. You got to talk to the parents. You go like, what type of place are you running that people can
Oh
escape? You're
yeah.
right. Like it's in the pay. You're right. Like then the news is going to cover it. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just like the snowball effect.
Oh yeah. And if you're obviously down an employee, you're going to need to hire at least one new employee, and everyone's going to be wondering, oh, well, if that's the kind of place that those things happen at.
Yeah, it's a good one. So now another one I have. This is another good prank,
Okay.
right? Now this goes in. This is why I mentioned the bullying. So these were kind of peers, but this is where pranks can go wrong.
Mhm.
So I had 2 employees, and one of them, we'll say, was the prankster. He's definitely the bully, but
Okay.
so what he did is he goes up to this other employee, and he's not a supervisor or anything. They're both like department heads, and he's in a chair like this, like kind of
Mhm.
leans back. And you know how when someone like yanks it and you feel like you're like suddenly falling and you like get startled. All right. So he did that. That was kind of the start of it. Then the guy was leaning on a door and he walked up behind him, and, like pulled the door. So it was like the
Oh.
same like motion. So, and he's laughing, loving life. The guy who got the door pulled on him the second time, like that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Right. So he
Mhm.
lost it. And it's like, I don't need to put up with this effing S anymore, blah, blah, blah. Punches a hole in the wall.
Oh my gosh.
Or one of the doors, I can't remember, grabs a rolling chair just like these, grabs it, whips it down the hallway. It like scrapes and knocks off some baseboard trim and put a hole in the wall.
Oh my.
Right. So he's having a meltdown. So then so that all happens. We have a meeting with the employee who threw the chair and all this stuff,
Mhm.
and the employee who did the pranks. And he goes, we're a pranking department. It's guys being guys, that frat house behavior, like, oh, yeah, that does happen some places. It doesn't mean it's right, but just out of curiosity, right? Like, tell me some of the pranks people play on you.
Oh goodness.
Right. And he's like, well, sure, there's something, but I can't really think of it. And I'm like, you know what? Like, if you're always pranking and no one's pranking you back, like, you're just a bully,
Mhm.
like, you're not pranking. You're just picking on a person.
Yeah,
Tell
you're
me,
being mean.
yeah, you're just, and he was like, well, that's ridiculous. I can't. I'm like, no. And like all the stuff, like him, like kicking water up into people's faces on like freezing days. He
Oh
pushed
my
someone into like an
gosh.
open pit. I was like,
That's not a prank.
yeah. So
Which raises other questions. Why is there an open pit?
it's like construction type stuff.
Okay.
Right. So like, yeah, which even bears like safety on that type of area is
Mhm.
paramount, right? Like stuff
Yeah.
is like fenced off. So like every day people walking through aren't like getting beams dropped on their head and aren't accidentally stepping into
Right.
open sewer grates or whatever for the project, you know?
Oh my
And the guys
gosh.
behind the fence, the guys shoving other people into the pit.
Oh my gosh. That'd be terrifying.
You know, you would think. But he didn't see anything wrong. Now both of those employees are actually gone at different times. So like we kind of saw the writing on the wall.
Well,
But that was, you know, kind of was saying too, like, you know, I'll say pranks in general, like, you know, it's tough to be the fun police
mhm.
in the office and things like that. And you want people to have good morale. I would say it's much higher likelihood of having a morale killer than saying, well, then I got to be loose and let these types of misdeeds go on. Right.
Mhm.
Then the morale killer from why are you allowing someone to be a jerk in the office?
Right.
Right. Like people will find other ways to have an okay office environment without you deciding you need to like take it to the edge. Like an employer shouldn't be trying to like take it to the edge of
Right.
office environments. That's
Mhm.
not a safe way to be.
Exactly.
So I think my two
I thought those were two
examples
good
and
ones.
your
Those
one
are
example
really good.
were good for today.
Hey,
Good quick
sometimes you
episode.
just gotta
for
fly
Friday
by the seat of your
13th.
pants.
That's right.
Um,
Oh yeah.
Thank you everybody out
So-
there for joining in as always.
Yes.
We welcome your comments and any questions you have or ideas or suggestions, send them our way. And thanks for another episode of the Reliably Intermittent Podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. And remember, Friday the 13th is always better than a Monday.
I like that. We want to thank you again for joining us on the Reliably Intermittent Podcast. It is disclaimer time again. This podcast and all podcasts on this feed are for informational and entertainment purposes and not legal advice. No attorney-client relationship is created by listening to this podcast. Should you require or desire legal advice, we advise you and strongly suggest you contact a licensed legal professional. Thank you for joining us.